Hey there, and welcome back to the second installment of Pharmacy for the People. Today we are going to address the most basic question that we can pose about pharmacy. What does a pharmacist even do even? Just for fun, I asked a few people what they thought a pharmacist did, and these were some of my favorites. A pharmacist is a legal drug dealer. Someone who tells me not to use apple cider vinegar and do my own liver cleanses. An expert hieroglyphics decipherer. Sorcerers. Magicians. Meth, mostly. I wouldn't have asked that question about what a pharmacist does, except that it seems like 70% of the people that I talk to about what I do as a job think that I count pills and put them in bottles or some variation of that. So let me go ahead and rip that band-aid right off and say that I can count on Captain Ahab's toes how many times I've done that as a pharmacist. Truth is, there's a ton of different pharmacists in different settings doing different things. But what do those pharmacists do exactly? Well, conceptually, at their core, a pharmacist ensures safety and efficacy of medications. Given the ridiculous myriad of tasks a pharmacist might perform, you might be saying to yourself,
"That's far too reductionistic."
So let me unpack that for a second. Anyone can put together a series of ingredients and call it a genius concoction. When I was a kid, I remember I would take a shower and I would stay in the shower for way too long, mixing the shampoo and the conditioner and the body wash into one thing that was this genius concoction of untold cleaning capabilities. And I get the feeling that a lot of men did that because now it's being marketed to them. A random mixing of good ideas into a concoction has been around for as long as pharmacy has been around, but following the catastrophic events surrounding thalidomide in 1938, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, enacted a new amendment, the Kefauver-Harris Amendment. It required that all new medications approved by the FDA or approved for use in the United States be proven safe and effective. Before that, it was literally the Wild West, and good marketing meant good drug or good product. And I won't jump down that rabbit hole too deeply right now. I'll do another video later to discuss exactly how medications get approved by the FDA. It's a process, and I think it deserves its own explanation. The profession of pharmacy grew up around the actual creation of therapies for treating various ailments, giving pharmacists the archaic handles of druggist and chemist, if you have ever heard those terms before. But the evolution of healthcare and the creation of the FDA subdivided that process, that basic process of therapy delivery, into various realms, from the development of medications to the manufacturing of the medications to the prescribing of medications and then the dispensing of medications. There are pharmacists involved in every step of that process in most cases, and now each step is a highly specialized service. So the days of being able to throw a concoction together in your basement or your garage and prove that it's both safe and effective are long gone. The pharmacist, as a member of the healthcare team, is the resident medications expert. They will work alongside of physicians and chemists and biologists along this continuum to ensure that the medication itself and its application as a therapy is both safe and effective. Having said that, let me take you through a few settings where you might find a pharmacist and describe in more detail how they ensure safety and efficacy as a pharmacist. Number 1, community pharmacists. Also known as retail pharmacists, these are the pharmacists that we interact with most often, and it's where most people come up with their opinion of what a pharmacist does. I plan to do another entire video on community pharmacy because of how often we interact with them and how much it affects our lives. But these are the meat and potatoes, boots on the ground pharmacists that have so much to do with us getting medications and being treated by our physicians. They are responsible for ensuring that the prescriptions you get themselves from your doctor are accurate, reasonable, legally valid, safe with your other medications available, and very importantly, they ensure that you understand what's going on. What is the medication for? How are you supposed to take it? And what should you expect in terms of side effects from those medications? All elements of safe and effective. Number 2. Inpatient pharmacists. Also known as clinical pharmacists, these are the therapeutics specialists and they are involved in almost every aspect of your stay in a hospital. These pharmacists look at every single order for a medication and ensure the dosing, the scheduling, allergies, drug interactions, making sure everything is safe just like a community pharmacist. But depending on the hospital, they also might make sure that your home medication list is up to date so that when the physician goes to restart your home meds while you're in the hospital, that it's right. They also help to make sure that the medications actually make it to the nurses so the nurses can administer the medications. They might help to make IVs, help educate patients on new medications that they might be taking or medications that they're already taking and there might be some confusion about. And they also spend time rounding with the medical team and interacting with the nurses and the physicians to give their input on an appropriate medication, an appropriate dosing, timing, scheduling, all those sorts of things. In some hospitals, there are also specialists. Specialists in different areas. So you may have like a pediatric specialist, a drug information specialist, an oncology specialist, critical care specialist, emergency care specialist. They're the ones that can get really deep into the therapies and help the physicians make really good decisions about what you need as a patient. Number 3, compounding pharmacists. Compounding is a term used to describe mixing a medication on the spot in a small batch, as opposed to a large manufacturing process. For instance, if you've ever heard of somebody using a testosterone cream that they might apply to their skin, that's not available specifically from a large manufacturer. There are gels and other forms, but not as a cream. A physician might write an order for it, send it to the compounding pharmacist. The compounding pharmacist will get the order, take the active medication, take an appropriate cream and other things that they need to make it work, and put it together into an active product or a good product. Depending on the pharmacist and the medication order that they've gotten from the physician, you can compound active drug into a lot of different things. Things that you would expect, like shampoos or ointments, lotions, capsules, suppositories, but you can even do them in like gummy bears and lollipops for children and different things to help them actually get active medication into the kids that they need. It's a heavily chemistry-based part of pharmacy, which really harkens back to what I was saying at the beginning about pharmacists previously being known as chemists. As a pharmacist, you learn a lot about chemistry and how the chemical structures of medications and the chemical structures of lotions and oils work together. And then you have to understand how, like for lotions and oils, for instance, in order to get medication into the skin, you can't just sprinkle it on there. It has to be able to penetrate the skin, and doing that takes a skill. Number 4, industry pharmacists. These are the pharmacists working with pharmaceutical companies, to help research, develop, and market new medications. They work with other scientists and clinicians and even statisticians to develop medications and perform clinical trials to make sure that these medications are both safe and efficacious before they ever make it to the market. Number 5, ambulatory care pharmacists. Taking the profession of pharmacy into a new realm, ambulatory care pharmacists work in walk-in clinics and they see patients just like a doctor would. They help to manage long-term diseases like diabetes and heart failure, checking labs and vitals, and even prescribing medications like the physician would. This is definitely a newer realm for pharmacists, but given our background and understanding, it's something that under the license of a physician, we call it a collaborative practice agreement. The pharmacist can, like I said, see the patient, make prescriptive changes for the patient. Number 6. There's so many more. There are more types of pharmacists than I can cover in any single video. Like nuclear medicine pharmacists who help to prepare the radioactive compounds that we use in medical diagnostics. Like infusion center pharmacists who, if you have to get an IV infusion of a medication outside of the hospital, you can go to an infusion center, and an infusion pharmacist will be there to make sure that the IV that you're getting is the right IV, the right medication, safe and effective. A long-term care pharmacist that might work in a nursing home or something similar, and they help to make sure that all the people that are cared for in the nursing home get the right medications. Academic pharmacists who teach in universities take on research papers to help deepen our understanding of medicine and medications themselves. Pharmacists who work in government, like the CDC, the FDA, and even the boards of pharmacy. They help to navigate new laws and help guide regulations on the national and state and even local levels. Pharmacists who work for pharmacy associations, like the American Pharmacy Association. They help support pharmacists in the field and provide guidance documents for the profession and for individuals. You might have pharmacists that are writers for different magazines, pharmacists that are putting out continuing education for other pharmacists. There's a lot. Let me also interject here for a second some of the training that pharmacists receive to become pharmacists, because I think it'll help to put in perspective the basis of how they're able to do all these different tasks. For instance, in our education, it includes chemistry, biology. It also includes anatomy, which is the study of the structures of the body, physiology, the way that those structures move and interact together to create the biological functions that we think of, like breathing and heart beating and the brain sending impulses and pain and that sort of thing. Pathophysiology, which is looking at how the disease states come into those regular physiology. We look at therapeutics and how to take medications and their chemistry and how the chemistry of medications interacts with the chemistry of our body to affect that pathophysiology, the disease states. We also look at statistics in order to read new papers coming out about medications and diseases. We look at microbiology and all the bacteria and viruses and fungus that can invade our biology. We learn business and law, as a lot of pharmacists end up either, like I said, working in government, working in industry. Even your community pharmacists, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. A lot of them own their own pharmacy. That's where you get an independent pharmacy from. We end up looking at psychology and sociology. Both of those are really important for us to be able to educate people well and interact with other people well, so that we're not just hammering information down somebody's throat. We're appealing to them and what they need in order to help make healthy choices in their lives. So I just wanted to give you some perspective about the background of a pharmacist. And so you see how all these different educational points kind of coalesce into all these different functions that I'm talking about. Apologies to any pharmacists that I've left out of my tirade. There are so many, and the field is continuing to grow every year. More and more pharmacists are out there, and we continue to develop our skills and develop the field itself so that we can provide better care. But all in all, I think that what a pharmacist does, regardless of the nitty-gritty tasks that they perform every day, at its core, a pharmacist makes sure that the pharmaceuticals used for therapy are both safe and effective. The American Pharmacy Association has adopted an oath for each new pharmacist as they become a professional. It's very similar to the Hippocratic Oath, which is associated with physicians. It says, "I promise to devote myself to a lifetime of service to others through the profession of pharmacy. In fulfilling this vow, I will consider the welfare of humanity and relief of suffering my primary concerns. I will apply my knowledge, experience, and skills to the best of my ability to ensure optimal outcomes for my patients. I will respect and protect all personal and health information entrusted to me. I will accept the lifelong obligation to improve my professional knowledge and competence. I will hold myself and my colleagues to the highest principles of our profession's moral, ethical, and legal conduct. I will embrace and advocate changes that improve patient care. I will utilize my knowledge, skills, experiences, and values to prepare the next generation of pharmacists. I take these vows voluntarily with the full realization of the responsibility with which I am entrusted by the public. So there you go. That's what pharmacists do, at least in a nutshell. And like I said multiple times throughout this video, and I hope I've made a good defense for myself, I think the heart and the core of what pharmacy is ensuring the safety and efficacy of medications as a therapy. Thanks again for joining me, guys, and I'll see you soon on the next video. What does a pharmacist do?